Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt and I'm here with the sexiest vehicle in all the land. This is, of course, the Honda Odyssey. My family, we had two of these growing up, a 2002 and then a 2011. But here, this is an updated or facelifted version for 2025. And I'm going to show you the 16 things that you need to know about this sexy minivan. So first up, what's new for this year? What's all the fuss? Well, this is a facelift year. This is actually their second facelift, and this generation has been out since like 2017 or 18. You've got new front fascias, you've got new rear fascias, you've got new wheel options, and some of the trims have been reorganized, reshuffled, and redone. And you have a new interior and infotainment technology suite, which we'll talk about later. But what about competitors? You've got the legacy Toyota Sienna, which also had a little update for this year, and you've got the Kia Carnival, which is kind of the new upstart, although new, I say, and it's entering its second generation now. And then you've got the Chrysler Pacifica, which you probably forgot about, but it's still there. And what lurks under the engine but the same general engine that they've had since 1999. There's also no hybrid option, which is a little odd for this class, seeing as everything else comes with a hybrid option. But here is the 3.5 NA V6, it's that VTEC single overhead cam engine. It makes 280 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. It does about 24 mpg based on our lakeshore loop. That might be a little flattering, but still pretty decent fuel economy for something with 3.5 liters of naturally aspirated VTEC V6 Fury. It also does 0 to 60 in the mid 6 seconds, and it could do it way faster if it didn't have the Bridgestone Turanzas on here. I said Alenza in the other video, but they're Turanzas. If they had a little bit more grip, this thing would be actually pretty quick. And then in terms of drivetrain, the power goes from the engine through a 10-speed automatic transmission, which is actually really nice and smooth. I do like that gearbox. It is front-wheel drive only though, which is a bit of a bummer because the Toyota you can get with all-wheel drive, and the Kia you can, nope, not the Kia, the Chrysler you can get with all-wheel drive, but this and the Kia you cannot. If you're interested in a fully electric van, by the way, and also if you have $1 million, you can get a VW ID Buzz, which will also be all-wheel drive if you want to shell out the money for it. But in terms of weight and dynamics, this is about 4,600 pounds, and it is lighter than some of the rivals because it doesn't have the added weight and complexity of the hybrid system with the hybrid battery. The steering, though, we'll talk about more behind the wheel. It's kind of dangerously light, but that's a characteristic, a charm of the Odyssey, and it has been for years. But overall, it drives pretty well, and again, we'll talk about that more behind the wheel. But we will talk about styling here, and like I mentioned, this is a facelift year for the Odyssey. So we do have an actually really nice paint color that's not covered in salt anymore, thanks Wisconsin in January, but this is this smoked blue pearl or metallic, I can't remember which one, but it looks really, really nice. It's a really nice blue. But the grille has been reworked, you can tell a little bit. You've got a little opening here, and then a more aggressive lower front fascia. It almost looks sports car-esque, but you do have reflector style LEDs and LED running lights down here. And you've got your turn signal and fog down here, which are, at least the turn signal, I believe is incandescent. But you do have black trim for your elite trim, which continues onto your window treatments around the side. But also around the side, you've got these 19-inch diamond cut elite wheels, which are kind of all right, I guess. They're reasonably good looking. You've got the classic Odyssey door punch or little dent here, but it's got a nice little swoop effect to it, and the swoop continues when you look at the profile right after the C-pillar. One of the nice things I like the Odyssey does is they try to hide the track for the door right here at the bottom of the window. But you do have a floating D-pillar design here, a little bit of a spoiler, and some LED taillights. These are the crab grabs. This is the LED portion, but your brake light and your reverse light are both halogens or incandescents or whatever they're called. But black little mustache across the back, Odyssey, Elite, and 3,500 pounds of towing capacity, no exposed exhaust. And weird little fun fact, I don't know why this matters to anyone, but this piece right here, this reflector, is from the NSX. So, you know, motorsport stuff. Overall, I think it's decent looking. You've got a chrome band that runs around the entire width or entire perimeter of the car. It looks pretty good. Then we'll talk about the trunk. You can option kick gesture, but I'm not going to make a fool of myself because I already did that earlier. But you can get a kick gesture power release tailgate, which is quite nice. You do have power close, but not close and lock. And then with the third row up, you're looking at about 33 cubic feet of space. Very deep down in here. Plus you've got some additional pockets over here and a little power outlet back here as well. They've removed the vacuum. You can't get a vacuum in an Odyssey anymore, which is a little bit of a bummer. But when you fold down the third row seats, which fold really nicely and tidily into the floor, and then you've got a nice flat floor, you're looking at 86 cubic feet of space, which is fantastic. From there, and stay with me, you can take out the second row of seats, which you could not do in the Sienna that we drove in North Carolina earlier this year. With those second row seats out, you're looking at 148 cubic feet of space. Now, when you take the second row seats out, lift with your back, nope, not the back, the legs, not your back, because the outboard seats are 70 pounds and the middle seat is 40 pounds. And we'll check out the third row. Classic van stuff. Love this, especially if you're worried about kids opening doors into other cars, either at your garage or just in any parking lot at all. Nice to have. Seat slides out of the way mechanically, very nice. Third row seats, you got 3 of them, and a pretty decent size. I'll step back there. I am 6'1" for reference. And I have the world's largest coat on, so I apologize if that's making sound, but I'll slide back here. This seat is as far back as it goes, and I still have like 2 to 3 inches of knee room. I mean, this is amazing. I've got a pocket back here. We'll go to the headroom. I still have headroom. Like, that's amazing. I've also got a window shade, which is quite nice. I've got a light back here. I've got a climate vent. I've got dual cup holders. I've got a USB-C charger. I've got a headphone jack for the entertainment system. We'll talk about that in a minute. And a volume control. I mean, you don't have it on this side, but this is amazing. You've also got Star Wars Episode 1 Battle Droid Roger style headrests. Kind of cool. You love to see that. I don't know why. So many 3-row vehicles in this class, I'm thinking of the Atlas specifically, have this style headrest. Why is that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the third row here, really, really good. But then we'll move forward and talk about the rear seats. Now, due to the nature of the entertainment system, which again we'll talk about in a second, you don't get a panoramic roof, which you can get from some of the other competitors. The other thing that's a little bit weird for this one is that it comes standard. All the Odysseys come standard with an 8-passenger configuration. So 3 in the back. You should have a middle seat here. I think the fleet just like took it out and forgot to put it back in. But normally you'd have a seat here which folds down, and on the back of the seat you have like an armrest and then some cup holders in the center. They don't have that. So obviously you can remove it. That's 40 pounds. These are 70 pounds. You can remove these as well. But with that gone, you can actually slide the seats together. And then you have a much easier way to get into the third row, which is pretty cool. I do like that feature. Again, not something you're gonna get in the Sienna, but we'll step in. Again, 6'1" for reference, plenty of knee room, pocket, promise you pocket, headroom, yeah, still pretty good. Another thing I like, third zone of climate control back here. We still have LED, or not LED, map lights up here. But this is the camera for your cabin watch system. So if you're driving the car and you want to keep an eye on your younglings in the back here, you use this camera so you don't have to take your eyes off the road from up here and swivel your head all the way and look back here. You can just look onto the screen right next to you. But we'll talk about this screen. It's over 12 inches. You've got Amazon Fire TV built in. You can tell because you have the classic Amazon Fire TV remote. So again, pretty cool, a different philosophy. A lot of the newer ones are going with an entertainment seat here and then an entertainment screen there. So the fact that Honda's still doing it in the middle means you don't get the panoramic roof, but maybe they'll change that for the new generation. But overall, it's still pretty nice back here. You've got cup holders back here, you've got chargers back here, totally flat floor, plenty of room, and I'll have to show you on this side, you do have a window shade. So really, really nice in the second row. And then of course, we'll check out the front seats. They're the nice two-tone interior that continues to make this interior look a little bit more expensive than it otherwise would. We've got kind of offsetting different style perforations because you've got 3-level heated and 3-level cooled seats here. You also have a heated steering wheel and 2-person memory. The seats themselves, really comfortable, power adjustments, lumbar, the whole thing. And classic minivan fashion, you have your own little armrest. You don't have to rely on the center console to be your armrest because that is some additional storage where you would plug in your HDMI for your Amazon Fire TV. You don't have a cool box, which is a little bit annoying because you had that in the Sienna, but overall, nice big place to store stuff, very big and effective wireless charger, and some additional storage. We'll talk about that more in the interior. And then just touching on the interior as a whole, it's pretty similar from what we've seen before. But again, the two-tone with the perforations looks really nice, feels expensive. You do have an attempt to feel a little bit upmarket with this very faux wood interior detail that also looks like it has some sort of like geometric pattern to it. I don't know, it's got some character, I kind of like it. I do like the fact that you have all these physical buttons for your drive mode, physical buttons for your heated and cooled seat, physical buttons for your shifter, your climate controls, your rear climate, like everything is still physical. And a lot of people are gonna really like that. And you still have all this storage down here for chargers, house outlets, cup holders, more storage, door storage, 1, 2, 3 levels that you have. I mean, it's really, really pretty good. This is a fairly modern cabin. This is also a new style infotainment screen, but it just works on a physical tactility level that I know a lot of people that are looking for an old school vehicle are really gonna appreciate. We get a lot of comments asking for more buttons, and Honda has delivered that with the Odyssey. And then as we start to talk about the technology, it's a bit of a mixed bag, I'll be honest. You don't have a head-up display. I don't really expect that from a minivan, but some of the rivals bring it, so just for context, you can get it in some of the rivals. You also, this is a weird one, have a semi-digital instrument cluster, so you can kind of see this is a physical analog gauge here, and then it's a screen over here. This is what you have in something like my wife's CR-V, but in something like the Accord or the Civic even, you have a fully digital instrument cluster, so that's a bit weird. And then it kind of continues over here into your center screen. Now this is a new screen, again, this is a facelift year, so it is improved, but it's like a 9 or 10 inch screen versus the 12 point something inch screen that you get in the Honda Accord. So I'm not really sure why you're just not getting some of the newest stuff. Also, the software here doesn't have Google built in like you would have in the new Civic. So again, this is a facelift. I would expect some of the newer stuff to show up in here, but there just isn't. You also throw it in reverse. There's no 360 camera. The resolution's kind of okay, but just generally speaking, I would like to see some improvement in the reverse cameras on some of the Hondas. You also don't have a digital rear view mirror, which would be nice if you've got this thing filled with stuff or kids, so you can actually see if you've got stuff blocking the rear window. But I'm complaining a lot, it's not all bad. You still have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is really nice. You go over here, where is it? And you've got Cabin Watch, which uses that camera back there to keep an eye on things happening in the rear seats, which is really, really kind of nice. And you also have Cabin Talk, so then I can record, maybe you can hear it, I can record my voice here and it projects it over the speakers into the back. So that is a nice feature, a thoughtful thing to have here on the Odyssey. And the last thing I'll talk about in the tech suite section is the Honda safety sensing, or whatever they're calling it these days, but it's a pretty decent system. You've got adaptive cruise, lane keep, it works pretty well enough to be a little bit helpful on the highway. So I do appreciate that. And then just a couple odds and ends. Again, map lights, not LED. You do have paddles though, for your big power VTEC V6, and your start stop button turns red when you turn it on, otherwise it pulses white when you just have your foot on the brake and the car is not on. The last thing we'll talk about is price before we go out for a drive. Now, an Odyssey can be had starting at $42,200. If you want the Elite, the full package here that we have, it starts at $51,200. That's a bit of money for a van, especially if it's not bringing a hybrid, but this is a pretty good van and it drives surprisingly well, one of the best in the class. So let's get behind the wheel and I'll show you what I mean. Hey guys, real quick, Matt here. Just wanted to say I hope you've been enjoying the video. If you have, would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it does go a long way in helping us get access to cars sooner and get access to manufacturer engineers so we can get more information on the cars and get you more information so you can make better decisions. So would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe, like, comment, the whole YouTube thing. But with that, let's get back to the video. It is, where is it? 35 degrees. I'm in sport transmission in the Odyssey. Wheel spin, wheel spin, wheel spin, wheel spin, still spinning, still spinning. Finally got traction. Listen to that VTEC though, crossover. About 4,000, 4,500 RPM. It's a minivan and it's actually like kind of good to drive, which was surprising. I guess it's not surprising. I mean, I grew up with 2 of these things, so like I knew that they were pretty decent to drive. The only thing that I don't like about the driving experience is how light the steering is. And I guess it's probably a good thing. It makes the car feel a little bit more agile, a little bit more nimble, which is, you don't want to feel cumbersome in a big minivan. If you've got kids screaming in the back, you're tired from work or whatever, the last thing you want is probably like heavy steering or like a cumbersome feeling thing. So it does feel pretty light and pretty sprightly. The power comes on nice and easily. Braking is organic. Coming into this corner here, steering completely devoid of feel, but then I get on power. Good, strong, linear, naturally aspirated pull. You love to see it. Fuel economy, mixed bag a little bit. It's been incredibly cold here, and so we have been averaging under 20 mpg. But generally speaking, we did do our fuel economy test, which is our lakeshore loop. It's about 35 miles. We let the car warm up. It's kind of a mixture between like mixed driving, highway driving, and then some city driving. It came back with 24 mpg, so not bad for something that doesn't have a hybrid, that has an engine that kind of started its core in 1999, I think. But overall, there's just something kind of, I think I mentioned it before in the video, there's just something intangible about sitting here in this minivan, even if I'm not going anywhere. If I'm just sitting here like on my phone or like waiting to pick up something or someone, like there's just something calming about being in here. It's not a super high step-in height, but I still have a great view of the road. The visibility is incredible. I can see everything from this driving position right here. It feels really natural, and it's just relaxing. I mean, it's easy to steer, it's easy to place on the road, the driver assist stuff works pretty well, seats themselves are comfortable, heated, cooled, all the stuff, and it's just relaxing. And all the while, I'm just oozing sex appeal and snapping necks. It's just classic van stuff. I mean, everybody lusts after a man in a van, and that's just the truth of it, and there's nothing else that I can do about it, there's nothing Honda can do about it, it's just a fact of being in a minivan. So thank you to Honda for letting me have a go in your new Odyssey. Thank you to you for watching. And if you want to up your sex appeal, get a minivan, probably a Honda Odyssey. Thanks for watching. And VTEC.